And now, here to let you know there is no perfect movie, here is Tyler Wolff.
Thank you, Caleb. What's going on, everybody? I'm Tyler, and I'm back from the second weekend of the Toronto International Film Festival. I went to see 3 more movies over the course of 2 days, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about why Old Man and the Gun is no perfect movie. So the second weekend was a lot less stressful when it came to traveling around the city. I felt a little more familiar and a lot safer going from one street to another, and I actually got to do a lot more from waiting in between movies. Like, there was a huge gap between Boy Erased and First Man that I went to the Ripley's Aquarium. And I gotta say, that was a lot of fun and very surprising because I had heard good things, but once I stepped in and looked around for the first time, it didn't really blow my mind. But the second you go to the main attraction, it just hooks you right away, and the sights that you see are just incredible. I shot a lot of footage just in the aquarium, and I'm keeping it for a future video about my TIFF experience, so look forward to that. And I was also very surprised by just the amount of attention I've gotten from my videos of Beautiful Boy, Predator, Fall of the American Empire. The fact that I got to do these reviews so much earlier was very exciting to see just how much people were engaged by it, but it was also an eye-opener about the negativity that a lot of YouTubers face, because I've seen it before on my videos in the past, and it hasn't really bugged me all that much, but especially with Beautiful Boy, there were a lot of questionable comments that I can understand where they're coming from. A lot of them came from people who had a significant attachment to the books that the chefs wrote. They probably had also experienced drug addiction or drug abuse from someone else or from themselves, and I just want to make it clear, I have nothing but empathy for people like that. Addiction is a very serious issue, and whether you like this movie or not, I think we can agree that it does focus a lot of attention on how serious of an issue it is. But a lot of people were focused on the fact that I mentioned that the movie doesn't really focus that much on the kid's motivations for becoming an addict and more about the rehabilitation process. And a lot of people felt that his motives were really key to the story. And I can understand that completely, but when I judge this just as a movie, because I never read the books, motives for drug addiction really don't make that much of a difference to me, because either way, they're still inflicting pain upon themselves and to other people. And even if the actions of other people are what influence them to start experimenting, it doesn't make that much difference to me either, because they're still picking the wrong choice to deal with their pain. And I'm sure Dave Chef is a really nice guy and is doing incredible work right now, but I can't just ignore those things. I was actually kind of surprised people liked my Predator review a lot more, because I felt like there was a lot of hype going for it and that I might be one of the few people who were massively disappointed by it, but as you've seen over the past week or so, it turns out I was not, but there were plenty of fans who still enjoyed the movie and especially thought that I was wrong. Especially this one comment where dude was so passionate and so desperate, in my opinion, to try and insult me that it just felt weird. I gotta read this out loud just to get the point across. What the fuck would you know? You're not even a big Predator fan, you absolute nugget. Bore off. I am the absolute nugget, apparently. Seriously, what the fuck does that even mean? I went on the Urban Dictionary to see what it meant, and the results I got weren't even really all that bad. If I'm missing something, just let me know in the comments below if you're also an absolute nugget. Such a stupid... Oh my god. Okay, but enough about all those things. How about Old Man and the Gun? Well, the movie focuses on real-life criminal Forrest Tucker, played by Robert Redford, who is well known for escaping, according to himself, 18 times successfully and 12 times unsuccessfully. And the movie focuses on a period of his life where he meets a woman his age, played by Sissy Spacek, and is being pursued by a cop, played by Casey Affleck. But the movie focuses mainly on the similarities that Redford and Affleck have in common. which was something I wasn't completely expecting. Knowing David Lowery as a director, I knew this was going to be a slow burn that focused more on character and motivation as opposed to action. In fact, the majority of the action, just letting you know, is shown off screen. If you're expecting a violent or energetic movie, I'm not sure why you were, but either way, that's just your warning. But as soon as I heard a speaker before the screening talking about how the movie focuses more on people's obsession with the outlaw and their perceptions of how it changed, it really got me thinking about the movie as I was watching it, because David Lowery shoots and structures the movie similar to a Western, especially Westerns where characters realize that their era is coming to an end as technology is becoming more advanced. And with that, as technology advances, it becomes a lot harder for criminals to get away with their deeds, but it also makes it a lot less eventful for the law enforcement who are pursuing them. And the movie gets to show us just how much of a negative impact it has on Redford and Affleck, which was something that surprised me, but in a good way. If this really is Robert Redford's last performance, he picked a good one to go out on. It's not by any means one of his best, but as far as performances from him, it is pretty good. He still has a very calm and collective demeanor, as he usually does. And it's weird seeing a criminal at his age do such a good job in such a polite manner that it's oddly charming when you start to root for him a lot more. Casey Affleck was okay. This isn't by any means one of his best performances. I'm sure a lot of people know that the main complaint about his acting is that he always sounds like he's whining, and that's always been a problem of mine too, but in this one he just sounded bored and completely uninterested in what he was doing. And I get that's part of the character, and that's what made me understand that, but I've seen him do so much better, especially with David Lowery movies. And David Lowery is once again really good at illustrating his themes through the direction. There are a lot of Western homages that fit the story very nicely, and I feel like some people might not pick up on some of them, but they're subtle enough that they work. Like Redford's character, for example. He's always wearing a hat, carrying a gun, speaking in a positive, polite manner, even when he's doing horrible things. A typical Western trait. But what's also interesting is that his philosophy in life doesn't really focus on him making a living, but just living his life in whatever way he wants to. He doesn't do what he does in order to inflict pain on people. It's just an easier way of living for him. And it's so simplistic that you can kind of relate to it in that these are things that we wish we could do. Even with Affleck's character, as he becomes closer to pursuing Redford, he doesn't do it mainly for the sake of justice, even though that is a major component. But a lot of it has to do with the positive attention he's receiving from his fellow peers and even superiors from the FBI. And when he starts to lose the track once in a while, he becomes a lot more depressed. He becomes even more emotionless than he was at the beginning. But it still makes sense. And Redford has very similar depression, where people are questioning his ability to be a good bank robber because of his age, and he and his fellow accomplices, who are also very similar in age, decide to be a little bit more daring in their heists just to prove that they can still keep up. But it also means they have a lot more to lose. For a 90-minute movie, it does really drag out in its pacing. Some of it has to do with the fact that some shots hold for longer periods of time. Sometimes it works, sometimes not so much. Some of it just has to do with the fact that their dialogue takes a little bit longer for them to deliver just because their timing is so slow and methodical. And again, it's kind of a half and half thing on whether or not that works. And if you don't really like David Lowery's stuff, this is not going to change your mind whatsoever. But if you like his earlier stuff like Ain't Them Body Saints or A Ghost Story, you're definitely going to find something to enjoy here. I kind of wanted to focus more on his prison escapes as opposed to just a normal period in his life, but I am glad that I saw Old Man and the Gun. It has pretty good acting, for the most part. It is well directed. It has some interesting themes that are executed in a unique way. And for that reason, I'm going to give Old Man and the Gun a 3.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching, and look forward to more TIFF reviews. I'm going to be having ones for Boy Erased and First Man very soon, as well as a video talking about just the experience of going to TIFF and whether I want to do more festivals in the future. Well, Khaleb, tune us out.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more No Perfect Movie reviews.